Welcome back, everybody, to the Day One podcast. I'm Adam Daly.
And I'm Brett Nord.
We're again here to talk about the app, and we've got some great stuff to talk about today, especially with the WWDC 2019 just got over.
Last week.
And wow, what a week. We've got a lot to talk about there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
exciting stuff.
But today we've got a special guest.
We do. Juice.
Hello, everybody.
Justin Lake, known by his school teachers, but friends, all known by Juice.
My mom calls me Juice.
Nice.
When
Hey,
you're in
you
trouble?
know the nickname sticks when your mom calls you that.
Yes,
That's the
nice.
key right there, right?
Yes. Well, Juice, we're glad you joined us today. We're going to talk about what Juice is doing at Day One, as well as his use for Day One as a user.
Absolutely. We only have a little bit of housekeeping today. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, but we wanted to bring up some things that are out on the store completely now. We do a lot of our releases as a phased release. Apple allows us to do this where it kind of slowly gets to more and more customers throughout a 7-day period. And by now, everyone should have an update for 3.7 on iOS, which includes the new Instagram importer, which we're really excited about. We talked about that with Haas a couple of weeks ago, and we've had some great feedback via social media, via our customer support tools. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. We are very grateful for that. And honestly, it's gone off without a hitch. There's been only a couple of instances of support needs, and those were just very minimal. Nothing wrong with the tool itself. So
It's fast
and
efficient. Good stuff.
We have had to tell people that if they have large Instagram libraries, that may take a little longer to sync, but that's it. It is really cool. It imports all your Instagram posts, historical and future, as long as you leave it connected. So it's kind of like an IFT recipe, but this is all homegrown and built into the app. Especially because it gets all your historical data, which I think a lot of users were excited about.
And we're going to talk about Instagram a lot today when we get over talking about Juice and what he's doing at Day One, because it's, if anyone's noticed, I'm sure you've seen a difference in our Instagram page.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too, says the guy who used to do it. No, I agree. I 100% agree. We'll talk more about that as well.
When you can really focus on something, you really see huge improvements. And
Yeah,
that's-
Adam, you're pretty busy with what you do here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's out. And then Juice reminded me also, as I was getting ready for my notes, the new activity feed is live also in 3.7. Great new layout change. And instead of only going back 6 weeks historically, it will go back a year. And I think the plan is to kind of let it go back indefinitely and maybe in a future release. So we've got that going out. What I love about the new activity feed, I'm going to switch between Instagram and activity feed today, is it's doing a better job at combining certain things when they're close together, like photos you take at a certain location or calendar events that may appear or that you've got connected in there. So it's really doing a better job at combining those and allowing you to create great posts with different sources that you can pull in. So if you're curious about how to use that, I mean, it's really cool. Go into the activity feed and you can scroll to the left on those dates as far back as a year and find things if you want to create historical posts in Day One. So
anything to make it easier.
Right?
For your entries.
I agree.
Love it.
There was one thing that some users pointed out. I had no idea this existed in the previous activity feed, but there was a button where you could add all locations on a certain day to one single entry.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that existed.
Did it go away?
It is not there anymore, and some people were like, where did this go? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I went back to a previous build, and sure enough, it's there. So I put in that request to have it considered to be put back.
Yes.
I as usual, I'm not a designer or an engineer, so I can't make that guarantee, but we have heard you. I know that used to be there, and I've made a request to have it put back in somehow. So
that was a user on the Facebook community, right, that mentioned that to you?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's been a couple. Okay. There's been at least 3, I think.
Great.
So it has been used, and I had no idea. Yeah. I feel kind of dumb, but I'll admit it.
At Day One, we'll make a change even for 3 users, won't we?
Why not? Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. If it makes your journaling efforts easier, then by all means, let's do it.
All right.
Also, 3.1.2 is out for Mac OS. This resolves a couple of crashes, even one on Mac OS 10.15 Catalina, the new one that was announced. I'll talk a little bit more about installing OS betas here in a second. But
I.e., don't do it.
I won't say don't do it because
I will.
You will?
Right now?
Do you do it?
No, I'll say don't install it.
Oh, do you ever do beta installs?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever regret them?
I wait till public now.
Okay. That's probably a better idea. What about you, Juice?
Yeah, I
Betas?
usually wait till the public, and sometimes I wait till the second or third.
Wow, that's
public.
restraint.
But with iPad OS,
it's so tempting.
It's going to be very tempting as soon as that first public drops.
Yep.
Even though the iPad has become my primary
Really?
computing device.
That's right.
Wow.
I'm not using a Mac right now. I'm using the iPad for everything. So
wow.
There's some danger there.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
We can talk about
I
that.
would. I'll just say this right now for betas. Okay,
Sure.
Beta OSs are out. Be careful when installing them. Back up your data. I think they explicitly tell you to go and back it up to iTunes and then archive that backup.
Right.
If you don't do these things, it's going to be very hard to revert back to a previous OS. So make sure you're doing that. I just want to make sure that those are out there. Also, you should know that a lot of developers aren't putting in their updates for these betas yet. They're waiting until some bug fixes get worked out. I assume we probably won't even start testing until at least the public beta.
I think the biggest problem is expectation, right?
Yes.
If you go into a beta with zero expectations that any app is going to function as it was on iOS 12, you'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
But if you have any expectations that this is going to be a smooth and flawless experience for all those apps you use every single day, you're probably going to be disappointed because there'll be springboard crashes and
you would think it would
glitches.
It would go without saying, but we forget that developers learn about these the same time everyone. A keynote is when you hear about there's a new. Okay, so developers are downloading it. They don't have time, and like the very next day, users are expecting you don't have an update for this. Like, no, we just got it yesterday.
Yeah. I'm glad we don't get those kinds of users. Most of ours are very smart and they know.
Right.
But we have gotten some, hey, heads up, I am on the beta, etc. So we get those reports, and that's fine. I just want to make sure it's clear that we're not testing on it yet.
Right.
Some of us have installed it. I know a couple of people have the iPad OS, and they're loving it. So I'm really excited about that. Can we talk about WWDC for a second? Just maybe a couple of exciting things that we watched. I loved thinking about the possibilities that Day One could do with some of these new updates. I'm really excited for iPad OS 13. That right there is probably the biggest thing that I took away, because I'm trying to go the way of Juice here and make iPad my sole device, and I've really been trying. There's a few things I still need a computer for with a little more interaction. Same. But for the large part, I can almost get along completely on iPad. And iPad OS seems to extend that a little bit and make it more of a desktop experience where I could be managing files. For example, when users send us in diagnostic reports, I'll be able to download those and then upload them to a GitHub repository and stuff like that. So making it more of a desktop experience, I'm really excited about. So.
Was it a surprise to either of you, too, that because it seemed like for a while the convergence, the idea was there's going to be one OS. To me, it was like, oh, wow, we're going back to where the iPad is its own OS versus the idea of just one uniform.
I don't know. I don't know if I was necessarily surprised that they did it. I'm glad they did it, though. I think they recognized a market for a tablet like this in more of a professional aspect, right?
Yeah, I think that the convergence thing... It'll be interesting to see if and when that happens as devices continue to change.
Sure.
In the
I thought
future.
with handoff, it seemed like they were getting more to where it was going to be one. But for developers, it'd be easier if there was one OS. But
that's
I
true.
can see the value, though, of separating them. Now the Mac or the iPad will do things that only the iPad OS, should I say, the iPad OS will only do things that the iPad will do.
Right.
You take advantage of those.
Well, what's interesting, too, is that we're seeing that the Mac is adopting things from iOS, and iOS is adopting things from the Mac.
Right.
I was listening to the live talk show with John Gruber and and they were talking about how the hardware for iOS has gotten so much better that the watch, for example.
Mm-hmm.
There were things they wanted to do with the watch when the watch first launched, but they simply couldn't do those things.
Yeah.
Now they
Sure.
can.
Yes.
That's why these new with the new watch stuff is available now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you guys are talking about your iPad is the only computing device, that's what I want my watch to be. Like, oh, I got my watch. Yeah, I got my watch right here. Let me dictate that.
I feel like I stutter way too much to have dictation to be reliable, and it's not the watch; it's me for sure. I have to go back and edit or re-record it multiple times.
Yeah,
like
that's good.
Whatever.
Me
but,
too.
When people complain about they can't read my handwriting, yours would be you can't read my dictation.
Yeah, your dictation is completely
voice.
unintelligible, and I would agree with them. Yeah, no, WatchOS though has some cool updates where you'll be able to install independent apps.
Yes.
I know the team has been thinking about possibilities with Day One with that, so that you could use, like, for example, we've talked about going on a run and being able to record audio or something like that, or record check-ins from locations.
Sure.
I think that is going to help out a lot, being able to install a standalone Day One app for Watch.
Yes.
Which, theoretically would upload the entries directly to the cloud as opposed to having to sync to your phone first and then sync. So, I don't know. I think that's going to be some great potential there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
You said iPad OS, but there's so much to that.
There
and
is.
I love the idea that you'll have different instances of Safari and Pages. If you want to have Safari in another workspace, you can do that, which you hadn't been able to do that before.
That's
so
a much needed feature.
Yes.
Having two windows of the same app open. I'm really excited about that. So.
And I'm excited about what do they call it? When you have an app that floats on the right side of the screen there, that you can now toggle between.
Oh, the slide over.
Yes.
That was so cool.
Is it sidebar or slide over?
What are they?
Something like
right.
that. I think it's slide over.
Because I'll find I'm working in a particular app, say Ulysses,
Yeah.
and I'm writing something, but I may want to be using messages and notes or some other app back and forth.
Sure.
Right now you have to choose
Yes.
which one you swipe in and out.
Yes. Unless you use a MacBook, then you don't have to choose. Someday
You're missing the point.
I know. I can't give it up. Yeah. I love my laptop.
Yeah, slide over will be cool. I want to say more, but I also want to let our developers speak too, because I think they have some good insight on the possibilities of what we can do with the app. So should we have them mention something here?
Yes, that's a great idea.
So these are some of our engineers that were in the office today when we were recording this episode, and we'll let them say for themselves what they're excited about.
Probably a better perspective than a couple marketing guys and a business dev.
Yep.
Let's get their input.
Hi, I'm BJ. I'm a senior engineer at Day One. We've been watching WWDC and we're really excited about a lot of stuff, especially excited about dark mode on iOS and a lot of the new frameworks coming to Mac. It'll be a great year for us.
My name is Johnny Hicks. I'm on the iOS team. I think one of the things that I'm most looking forward to is making our Watch app run independently from the phone. I think that will help us to mitigate a lot of issues that we've had if you leave your phone behind. And now if you create entries, you'll be able to just push them right up to the server, and we won't have to worry about having our phone along with us as we go. So
I'm Brad. I'm on the Apple team, so I work on the iPhone app and all that fun stuff. And I think one of the things I'm most excited about is probably the new multi-window stuff for iPad and iPad OS. I think it's going to be really powerful to be able to have multiple journal entries open side by side and to be able to drag and drop between them and some of the cool stuff that's going to allow users to do.
I'm Tyler. I'm on the iOS team, and I'm pretty excited about Pencil Kit this year because that's going to make our drawing support so much better than what it already is. And we hear all of our users out here who want pencil things happening, and it's just going to get better for them with this new stuff that's coming in iOS 13. It's going to be great.
It's Murphy. This is Murphy, web guru guy, and I'm excited about Apple Auth because it's going to simplify the process of sign in for us. Now, we already do this. We already allow iCloud sign in, where we have like a CloudKit sign in. If that didn't make sense, sorry. CloudKit, which is Apple's thing, offers a service so that you can click sign in with Apple ID, and it'll let us sign you in. But Apple sign in is just like more obvious. So I think it's just like a newer version of what we already do. That's more obvious because before it was kind of hidden how for us as developers how we should go about implementing this properly. So make it a little more obvious. And the really cool thing about that is this single-use emails feature, because we like to let the users like our default is don't collect email addresses, and it has been for years. There are various reasons for that, but I'm excited that they will allow users to generate a single-use email address, because then it'll be easier for us to prompt for an email address, which may be relevant for upcoming features, and also may be relevant for us being able to contact in case of a problem. And users, if they are uncomfortable with it, can either just reject or just say, yeah, no, revoke this email address. I think that's great.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and I am most excited about the new display stand, which I'm going to be using to hold my fancy new monitor to build using SwiftUI, which should be pretty rad. Makes coding seem pretty easy.
All right, that was great. Thank you to our developers who took the time. I know they spent a lot of time last week watching the sessions that break out throughout the week. There's a whole schedule on the board. They wrote down all of the ones that they were really interested in and that will apply to, that we can use and take advantage of. What I love about that is, I think we mentioned this before, but Paul, day one, this company cares about being able to master your craft and always improve. And so being able to watch those videos and learn more about what's coming up in the updates is a great opportunity for the developers to keep growing in their craft.
It was fun to watch them too get excited about certain things. Oh, we could do that for the Mac, the Mac app, or we could do that for the iPad, and really see the wheels spinning, turning for new ideas.
And there's some great stuff, back-end stuff that maybe users won't even notice, but things that are going to make the app a lot better. They talked about loading times for apps is like 50% faster. And I know we've already been investigating ways to make that lighter, to make it launch faster. But now, and this is one of the reasons why we do our best to keep up on the latest OS updates, because we can take advantage of technologies that are being afforded to us by the OS, by the hardware, and really make day one a powerful app without being too heavy, right? Because that's the idea.
Right.
Anyway.
Good stuff. Juice.
So that's it for WWDC. Let's talk with Juice and get to know him.
Yes. First off, the name. How'd you get Juice as a nickname?
Well, I'm the youngest of 4 boys, so that should explain a lot of how I ended up the way I am.
Sure.
And the name is just part of that. My oldest brother, there's conflicting stories. One brother claims it's because I drink a lot of juice. The other brother claims it's just because Justin sounded like juice. I like the story about drinking a lot of juice, but I still love juice.
Yes.
I really love juice.
Yes.
Basically any type of juice, I like it.
Really?
Yeah.
Good to know.
Orange is one of my favorites. The passion fruit, which they call chinola in the Dominican Republic, is a delicious juice. It's kind of tart.
I assume you're a naturalist and you prefer like fresh squeezed juices over other juices.
I do. No concentrate.
You're kind of a juice connoisseur. I didn't realize that. All this time I thought it was just you move quickly.
Yeah,
you're agile, but you actually drink the juice.
There you go.
Okay, good. Speaking of drinking the juice, I'll transition.
That's good, man.
The Kool-Aid,
that's
whatever.
Good. That's great.
You're a day one user, which we're going to talk about first before you approached Paul about helping out with some of the marketing efforts. So tell us quickly a little bit about your background. I know you live in Chicago, so tell us a little bit about what you do there and then how that led to reaching out to day one.
Yeah, so I live in Chicago. Been there for 7 years, minus a 2-year hiatus where I moved out of Kansas City. Funny little side note for baseball fans out there. I was living in Chicago when the Royals won the World Series. I then moved to Kansas City and lived in Kansas City when the Cubs won the World Series. I was in the wrong city both years.
Yes.
Zing.
I like the Royals, but I cheer for the Cubs because we've been in Chicago primarily. I actually used to work in IT and did server virtualization and help desk support, and I worked at Apple, which is where we met.
He's pointing at me, Brett.
Yep.
We did meet.
But then I got into writing. I'm a copywriter. I'm an associate creative director in Chicago. So I've worked on a bunch of different brands. I actually worked on Tropicana.
Nice. There you go.
So I did work on Juice. And my partner, his name was Jang. So it was Jang and Juice. Working on Tropicana.
They're like, this agency takes their job seriously.
Yeah, sipping on Jang and Juice.
Employees.
So,
that's fun.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I was going to say, if your next position was working with the Department of Sanitary, like you wouldn't have changed your nickname to something to...
Garbage.
Good.
No.
Yeah, no. Awesome. So that led to...
Yeah, so, I used Day One. I love Day One. And I've had interactions with Paul over the years on Twitter. I would ask him questions, or I would mention... I'd tweet at him or send DMs, and he would respond. Yeah. And I just noticed that there was an opportunity with Instagram for inspiration. So maybe I'll just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, please do. Yes.
So my goal in coming to Paul was to create content on Instagram that would inspire journaling. Journaling is one of those things that people will get pretty excited about. They'll download the app. They'll say, "This is it. This is the time. I'm gonna journal." And a lot of people stick with it, but a lot of people don't. And
some actually listen to a podcast about it.
Yeah, to help.
So
really
so those listening,
Thank you.
Those listening are probably in the category that have stuck with it.
Yeah,
thank you.
But maybe there's some people over there that you're
Still
listening.
Sure.
So my hope was that when you're scrolling through your Instagram feed, you would see content from Day One that would remind you of different ways that you could use Day One. So I'm putting content up there that talks about the watch and how you can record audio. Maybe it's of your kids, maybe it's of your thoughts at the end of a day. I'm putting content up there that talks about the premium features and why you might want to have premium, or if you do have premium, all those features you may not know about, like activity feature.
Yeah.
Could be a feature that you don't know about, but you could get a lot of use out of if you know. So it's educating, it's inspiring, and it's informing our followers. So I've had a lot of fun doing it. It's also been fun to flex that Day One voice and show that we have a personality to us, and it's been fun to have interactions with our users too.
Yeah,
people will comment. One of the posts that got the most engagement was I asked the question, "What's your go-to device when you journal?" And it was fun to see. Oh, iPhone for sure.
Yeah.
Other people know I start on my Mac. I always use my Mac. Oh, it's the iPad, right? So everyone has their way of using Day One, and it's fun to see that come out.
Now you've got lots of cool images too. Are you taking all these pictures? I know you've put photo creds for some other people on some of them, but kind of what brings this up? I mean, is this coming out of your own use, and you're like, oh, this would be a great thing to talk about on Instagram? Or I guess what's your inspiration?
Yeah, a lot of it is. I also have been able to get content from users, and if you have content, please do share it. You can always DM the Day One account on Instagram with photos, and we'd love to use them. You can also post photos and just hashtag Day One app, and then we'll reach out and say, hey, is it cool if we saw you posted and use the hashtag Day One app? Is it cool if we use your photo? So I've found photos in that way. We have some great users who have taken some great photos. I've used a bunch of my own photos. I've also just found some really great photos that people have shared for free that really capture these lifestyle moments of the kind of moments you would journal about.
Are you a personal user of Instagram much? Other accounts and other people you follow? Or do you do just more as it's a work tool?
I do.
Personal.
I don't post as much as I used to, and occasionally I'll do a story. So I went hiking with my family yesterday. So I did a story of our hike up the mountain. Called out the fact that my dog is a border collie lab mix, and she has to constantly shepherd everyone. So if the group gets divided because someone is faster and another person is slower, she really struggles with this because we've got to stay together. So she does these loops to make sure the group is staying together.
I love it.
We like dogs, so you'll see dogs show up on the Day One Instagram account.
Yep.
That almost convinced me to get one.
Almost.
And I know I'm outnumbered
Almost.
2-1 here.
No,
You have a new dog, right?
I have a new. Well, it's my wife's puppy. Let's just be honest. I'm not a domesticated animal lover.
Yourself.
No, I'm not domesticated. That's for sure. It's a lot of work on that one. But yeah, my wife does have a new puppy, and so we're getting used to that, and it's been interesting. She's a mini golden doodle. I like that she doesn't shed. I'll give it that.
My dog does shed.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I just have allergies, and I can't deal with it. But
we got our kids a dog once. It was 1 year. Remember those Sony robot dogs? That's what we got. We build it up like, it's this year, we'll get you one. They're like, yeah. And then they're so disappointed.
A cruel father.
You know what always speaks to me on the new Day One Instagram posts. I'm sorry. Is all the food that you post, Juice, because that every time I see it, I always happen to be hungry at that point, and I'm like, s'mores. Yes, I would like some s'mores right now, and then I'll journal about it. But get me the s'mores or the donuts recently because it was National Donut Day.
Does DoorDash bring s'mores? You probably would know that.
I bet you could find somewhere.
Sure.
I bet you could find. There's cookie delivery places now. I could just do that. So.
Yeah, I just realized I've never posted a photo of a salad on here. I've got fried chicken. I've got
salad,
a burger.
Salads.
Come on.
Salads. No.
It's not the healthiest food Instagram account. Indicative of probably what...
We need some nutritionists giving us feedback. Like, I couldn't follow you anymore because of your caloric intake was too high.
You were a bad influence on me.
What about Juice? Has there been one of Juice? Speaking of food.
Nope.
No juice.
Okay.
No juice.
No, but there's some great ideas here. I love the map post that you've got here posted. Well, let's see, June 2nd. That was a great one because that's one of the reasons I use Day One is to track my holidays or vacations or adventures that I go on with friends or family. And I love the pinpoints on the map that I can see later on, right within Day One. Yeah. That was a great inspirational post for me.
Yeah, and that's my hope. I did a post on Memorial Day weekend of a bunch of gear, and I called out that Day One, we call it a journal, but it also makes a pretty good packing list.
Oh, yeah.
And these are the kind of things that some users may not have thought, I should use Day One as a packing list, but that is an option. You can create little check boxes and create a full checklist, and then you can check it and check it off again. You can use that list over and over again. And you can put that in your travel journal, and so you could use it every time and you can mark that with a tag, and so you just type in packing list as your tag.
Oh, man.
Search pulls it right up, and you're good to go.
That's such a good idea. That is such a good idea.
You're thinking s'mores.
I'm thinking, how am I going to do this next time I go on a trip? Absolutely. I'm going to absolutely do that. Create a general packing list and then just keep it forever.
Yes.
Because at first I was thinking, well, once it's done and no worries. But then if I have it always, or templates are coming out soon, make my packing list in a template and just call it packing list.
Right.
Because you can add checklists in there. By golly, you guys, this is going to be great.
Look at you learning how to use Day One.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been here for 3 years, people.
You know, one of the things that I keep thinking about, one of the problems that people have is they take tons of photos on their phone, right? Maybe they take 20 pictures of the same moment of their kid on the playground.
Oh, yeah.
What Day One can do is be the curated feed.
Agreed.
You can pick your favorite, save it at Day One. Even if you don't go back and delete those in the Photos app, fine. Like, I'm not going to worry too much about that. But and that's what I'm doing every day.
Best of.
So actually, I started a thing a year ago, and I'm going to put this challenge out to Instagram soon. I just haven't yet. But I started a year ago, #photo-a-day, and I've been doing it for a year. And now I have a photo from every single day last year.
Oh, that's great.
For 12 months. And because I do that, I just know that I've got to take at least one photo on my iPhone or sometimes on my Fuji and journal it. And it's been really fun to get those photos out of the camera roll where I've got 50,000 and it's too hard. Now they're into my journal.
Curated.
And they're curated, and it's at least one photo. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. I like that. That's a fantastic idea.
And that's separate than you would on Instagram, the one photo that you'd post. Or do you even do that with your Instagram?
These photos I saved to my day one journal with hashtag photo a day. I don't usually post those to Instagram. Sometimes I do.
Oh, man. I'm going to start a new journal today.
You inspired him.
I know.
There you go, Juice. Well, I love that it's a different message that you're conveying through Instagram than we are on Facebook. We've got Facebook support and we've got Facebook user community. Very different messages. And I love that you've been able to communicate some of that through the Instagram feeds. So
I'm glad you've liked it.
Yeah. It's been fantastic. Plus, I think our followers has gone up. I think because of the quality content. We've invited people to come follow us. If you haven't yet, go to Instagram and search at Day One App and follow us. Give us a follow there and see what you like. Right?
Yes. Thanks, Juice.
Should we talk about personal stuff then?
Let's do it.
Get the business stuff out of the way, the business end.
Real personal questions. Ready?
I guess so.
Your social security number.
Credit
Just
card.
kidding.
616.
He's really doing it.
I wonder how many 616s are out there. Anyway.
Let's start with the first time. Do you remember the first time you used Day One? Your first entry, your first seeing it on the App Store?
I pulled it up here.
Nice.
It was May 5th, 2011.
Nice.
And here's one thing I wrote in here. I placed an order for a brand new 27-inch iMac i5 quad-core 2.7 gigahertz machine with a 256 gigabyte solid-state drive and a 1 terabyte hard drive.
Wow.
Nice. Cutting edge at the time.
So I had just purchased. So that's what I journaled about was
getting a new
the new iMac that I had purchased in 2011.
But you had just ordered it. You weren't journaling on that iMac yet.
I think I was doing this on my phone.
Okay. Yeah, just curious.
Little did you know that just a mere 7-8 years later, you would be going all iPad. And screw the iMac. Get that off my desktop.
May 2011, that was right near the beginning, too. So that would have been early Day One Classic, because it launched, I believe, in March of 2011. So that would have been really early on. Day One Classic, pretty basic features, I assume. I mean, 1 photo per entry. I think only Dropbox was available for sync at that time.
Yep.
What else? But it was a super simple layout, super simple design. Just getting your entries in there.
You want to know how I found this entry?
I do.
High five. Jinx, buy me a Coke.
The On This Day feature.
Oh,
because
nice.
that was May 5th. So May 5th of this year,
Yes,
2019, I tapped on This Day, and I saw that it said, so I just bought this. This is actually how the entry starts. So I just bought this app. It's called Day One. Since this is my first day using it, the title will only have true significance this one time.
A true copywriter.
I love it.
Brilliant.
So that's how I found it. So what I did is I created a new entry on May 5th, 2019, and I linked.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Which you can do if you don't. It's a pretty cool feature. You can link another journal entry in a journal entry. So I linked it.
Yeah, linking entries is really helpful if you want to be able to reference earlier ones. Really cool feature. It's very easy to do. Instructions are on our help guides. Just type linking journal entries and you'll find it.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, that's a really
great
cool
entry.
feature.
What else do you have?
It's
for
not
me?
as good as the other ones we've heard, like the birth of my new child or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Getting a new iMac, that's a pretty big deal for me.
That's true.
I want that iMac Pro or that new Mac Pro.
I just want the stand.
We didn't talk about the stand.
Well, Michelle
said something about it. We don't have to get into it now, but
no. That's right.
We did. I think we all kind of geeked out at the specs of that machine and the potential specs of that machine. It's going to be insanely expensive.
And then the stand came out.
The stand is $1,000, which is interesting. I don't have a good explanation for it, but comparatively, it's reasonably priced. The stand with the monitor is cheaper than the reference monitors that they were talking about. So there you go. I'm not going to defend it, but I'm not going to be mad about it.
Sounds like he's trying to justify a purchase. I feel it coming on.
Yeah, right. I need sponsorship if that's going to happen. If you'd like to donate to my Mac Pro fund, I'll give my PayPal account is below.
That really needs it. Don't listen to Adam.
You're going to need a lot more listeners to the podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, Juice, tell me about your process. Do you throughout the day? Do you kind of do entries? Do you save it for the end of the day, beginning of the morning? What do you do?
Can I read you the last sentence of this journal
Absolutely.
entry? I just saw it before I answer that question.
No, do it.
I wrote, something about this app just makes me want to journal. Maybe it's the fact of not having to open up Microsoft Word. Refreshing. We'll see if I keep coming back.
Yes.
And now I have 4,363 journal entries, so I guess I have continued coming back.
You have.
My flow, I'm actually a journaler at night, typically, because I get busy and then I think, I should do my journal entry for the day. So I pull up, in the way I journal, I actually typically journal from the Photos app. So I go into the Photos app,
interesting.
I find the photo or photos that I want to journal, and then I choose the share sheet. So I select the photo or photos, share sheet, I type in my entry, and save my journal entry. One of the things I've been doing more often, however, is using the Watch app. I have some kids, and they are pretty funny. And they say some pretty funny things, and sometimes they have really hilarious conversations. So I'll just hit record on my wrist and just let it go while we're interacting, while we're playing. And it's so fun because they don't know. My daughter is smart enough now to know that when I am going to do a video of her or I'm recording on my phone because it's pretty obvious. Yep. And she changes, and she's not as natural. She's like all of us.
Sure.
But if I have it on my wrist, they don't know. And so they're cute little voices. And
do you live in a state as Illinois where you have to let people know you're recording? In all fairness to your kids.
I've done that. I think it's a fantastic idea. I've done that at story time, like when they're reading me a story, and I just love hearing their little voices and being able to go back because I always tell my kids, stop growing up, okay? Just stay like this forever. They don't listen.
No, of course not.
But I want to hear that little voice, when I'm older and when they're 18 and I can tease them about it or something. But it's just capturing those moments. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I think the audio is going to be something that's photos are going to be great in the future, but audio is going to be really fun in the future.
Yeah, agreed.
Nice. And have you always been consistent with journaling since you've used Day One, or there kind of been months that you've dropped off?
So starting in 2011, I wasn't a daily journaler.
Okay.
I've been journaling, I think, daily for, I want to say 3 years or so.
Great.
3 or 4 years. Pretty much every day. Everyone has a missed day occasionally.
Sure.
Pretty much every day.
You feel like you've got the habit locked down. Yeah, for sure.
Did something change in your workflow, your mindset, just to say, okay, I'm going to commit to it, or streaks?
Yeah, I just didn't want to ever miss.
Yeah.
I used to journal. There were a couple of years where I journaled every day in a paper journal. And that was, before Day One came out. So when it came out, I thought I could probably do this. So,
have either of you read Atomic Habits?
No.
James Clear. It's a great book. And I don't know if it's his original idea, but he talks about the importance of not missing 2 days. So you say, one off is, everyone does that. It's human. But when you miss more than 1 day, if there's 2 in a row, that's what you try to avoid, right? Because that changes everything. Then you're starting to lose the habit. But as long as you have 1 day here and there, no big deal.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, and maybe this is a little more in-depth question here, but what benefits have you received from being so consistent in journaling? I mean, obviously you've got a bunch of memories now, and has it helped you? Have you noticed any, let me ask you this way. Have you noticed any emotional, mental, even physical improvements or benefits from keeping a habit like that?
I think so. One of the things you can go back and track is you can really see how you are doing personally. And I am a copywriter by trade, but not all my entries are crafted, because sometimes it's just a brain dump.
Yes.
And I just, as much as I can get out, as fast as I can get out, thoughts. But on this day, I'll go back and I'll look and I'll see, wow, I was struggling with something. I'm not struggling with that anymore. Or there might be other things. So I found it really helpful to know that I have this place, this one central location where I can put photos, recordings, write, and I can track who I am, how I'm developing, how I'm growing, changing as a person. and capture those special moments too. So it's both. That's why I have multiple journals.
Yeah.
So
What are your journals? Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that.
Yes.
Right?
So I created a journal for both of my kids. So when they say something funny, I put it in there. When they create artwork, like when my daughter brings home artwork from school, I can take a photo of that artwork, put it in her journal.
Such a good idea.
I use I have a reading stuff, so I use the Chrome browser extension. So if I find a great article I want to save, I use that. I started a gratitude journal, and then I have a workout, like an exercise journal that automatically syncs using if this then that with Strava. So every time I do a bike ride,
Nice. Yeah.
it stores my bike ride in my journal. So to answer your question, yeah, I've really gained a lot of. It is a health tool.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Thank you for sharing that.
That's awesome. Tags. So mostly journals, but do you do much with tags?
Yeah. So the main thing I do with tags is basically for photos. So I have a tag for every person in my family, and when I put a photo in my journal, I use that tag of their name. It makes finding the photos of these people incredibly easy, because otherwise you don't really have a way of finding. So if I journal a photo of my wife from, say, 6 years ago, if I don't tag it with her name, it might be hard to find.
Right.
I can do a filter with photos, but then I'm just scrolling.
Sure.
So I highly recommend using a tag for people who consistently show up in your photos all the time.
That's a great idea.
And then I have the photo a day tag. Besides that, I haven't been really great with tags. I have a lot of tags, but not consistently.
Mine are mostly test tags.
Yeah,
just to make sure something's working.
Yeah. And we've talked about this too, that I think starting with the end in mind. So if you think about how do I want to search my content?
Yeah.
And then it doesn't make sense to do tags that don't make sense to you.
Right.
If it works for other people, awesome. But if it doesn't work for you and you don't see yourself ever searching that way, don't start a tag with that.
Well, I like the people tag idea too, and I know we've had some requests on enhancing that, being able to like link with contacts and stuff like that. I think that's a really cool idea. Where you tap on someone's name in the journal and you can see contact information or something, right?
Sure.
But you're right. Starting with the end in mind, how do I want to be able to access this data later? Think about that for yourself. What does that look like? Yeah. Could tags enhance that for you? So these are great suggestions. So yeah, write them down.
And if you haven't started, you can always go back and add tags. So if you think, I should have been doing that, it's not too late.
Nope.
Don't say, well, I didn't think of that, a year ago, so I guess I won't do that. You can just take some time, or you can do it over time. Just do a couple entries a day. Okay, I'm going to go back and re-tag all my entries with photos of my kids, for example. Great. You can do a couple a day to start going back through and adding those tags.
You'll get there.
It's probably worth it.
Well, I've tried transcribing paper journals, and it's painstaking, but sometimes it's worth it because then it's in a digital searchable format and very nice. People don't have to worry about reading my terrible handwriting. And they can, because that's the end in mind. I know I've talked about this before. Mine is to pass on this stuff. What am I going to do with it at the very end, right? My goal is to give it to my kids so they can see
history,
who I was, what I documented, and stuff like that. So that's my end in mind. I know maybe that's grim, but
no, it's good.
It's kind of hopeful.
It's very hopeful.
I have an interesting thought about that. I think some people are concerned about being too real or too raw in their journal because they think, oh, well, what if someone reads this? But I respect the realness about people. We all have our own issues and problems. And if I were to read about those problems from, say, a grandparent or a great-grandparent in their journal, I don't think I would think less of them. I think they were real.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm struggling with stuff too. That's cool that we. They were real. They got angry. They got happy. They were frustrated. Whatever.
Well, and like you said, you looked at that on this day entry or something, and you thought, you know what? I was struggling with that, and I'm not anymore. Sometimes we can see how they grew from that, and maybe I'm struggling with a similar thing,
right? And
I can learn from their experience. So I'm 100% on board.
Yeah, and if it's all just sunshine and roses, I don't think you get all that rich color from that person's life. So don't be afraid to be real.
Everyone's got depth. You just a matter of if people record that, that's where it's interesting.
Exactly.
If you don't know that, you'll never. Yeah, good stuff. Awesome. Last question, Juice. Favorite feature.
I'm going to say my favorite feature is are photos.
Okay.
Yeah. Just being able to add a bunch of photos for a day, it brings those moments and those memories to life.
Yeah.
Ironic coming from a copywriter. I love it.
Yeah, but he's also a photog too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love photography.
What did they say? 1,000 words, right? Picture's worth 1,000 words. I don't even have to write anything. I don't even have to write anything. I just put a photo.
Yeah, someone on Instagram, I actually pointed out that you can add 30 photos to a single entry if you're a premium member, and someone on Instagram said, exactly, you can start every entry with 30,000 words without writing a single thing.
Bingo. You know, we've talked about that limitation recently. Like, why isn't it, as many photos as you want in an entry? But really, I don't know if we're butting up against that very much, personally. I like the curation idea better. Rather than just overloading every entry with a bunch of photos, I pick the ones that really stand out and that tell that story that I'm gonna write about that day or that event or whatever. So yes, 30 photos per entry is fantastic, but I do also love the idea of being able to curate stuff and really put in what's most important.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Juice.
So I don't know if that was an exciting answer, but it's an exciting feature.
I love every unique answer we get about features people love, because I think it just brings a different perspective. So yeah, absolutely. Photos are great. Tells the story.
And I loved your comment about raw, just being real, because I think that's so important.
Yeah, and if you want to put it in a separate, and I have one called, I actually have a journal. I didn't say this earlier. I changed it. It used to be called Unfiltered. Now it's called Private. But that's where I'm really real.
Yeah.
And I think having that compartmentalized from my daily journal with the photos of the kids helps me too, because then I don't have to worry about them merging too much. So if you're struggling to be real in your journal, try creating a new journal inside Day One and naming it Unfiltered or Private or whatever you want to call it, and just
let it go. That's therapeutic.
Yeah, it helps.
Better than punching a pillow.
Or a puppy.
Don't punch puppies.
Unless
That's our
it's
motto
a
for
robot.
today. That's our motto for today.
Okay.
Our sign off.
This has been fun.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the show. You're headed back soon, and but we'll still be seeing content from you on Instagram. Be sure to follow us there. Great stuff coming from Juice on the Instagram page at Day One App. As always, you can find us on our help guides if you need any sort of assistance. We've got a lot of tips and tutorials, even troubleshooting online. help.dayoneapp.com. If you are still having issues, you can contact support. There's lots of ways to get a hold of us. Go to dayoneapp.com/contact to see those options. Email, support, even a live chat that we have during business hours. So it's really neat. And it's all done within the app, too, so if you haven't noticed that.
Right.
If you want to schedule a call with Brett, link below. I'm not even going to attempt to say it. Calendly.
We can do it now.
We finally know.
It took 5 or 6 episodes.
Calendarly.
Yeah. No, Brett, wrong. No. Calendly. We got it.
Are you sure?
Positive.
It's not Calendarly?
Nope.
And now we know.
Calendly.com.
Links below. And you can check those out. So have a great couple of weeks. We'll have another episode in 2.
And as always, thanks for listening to the Day One Podcast.